Hi everyone and welcome. I am Kim Beegler, owner of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill, and I am in the mill today in Halsey, Oregon, and I am getting ready to blend some Shetland wool from some of our sheep and some dyed up tussa silk. So I'm gonna blend them at the picker, and then we will do some carding and stuff in this episode. So if you're new, I talk a lot about wool, owning a wool mill, knitting, spinning, all those things that have to do with wool and yarn. And if you're coming back, welcome back, welcome back. I'm gonna flip around so that we are on top of the picker belt and you can see what I have got going on here. So, all right, I have no idea what just happened to my filming, so we'll do this again. We were going and then somehow it stopped, but we are recording. So I'm just laying the silk down, opening it up a bit, and then throwing some of the Shetland on top of it. And I am running low on silk, so I'm just gonna mix this up a bit. So this is, we just shore our sheep. So if you watched the last episode, our sheep were shorn, and I picked out one of the white fleeces and it just did not go well. It was a year's worth of pulling out a little bit that's a little bit felted up, and I'll just, as you'll see, I just kind of pick stuff out as I'm going along. I think that's just kind of a little bit of dirt. Anyway, the last fleece did not pick out well, and I'm not sure which animal it was because I did not label two of the bags correctly, but probably one of my older animals, and the fiber was a little bit tender, and so it didn't go well through the picker. So here we are, same shearing, different white sheep, and it's behaving much better. It's going through the picker well. It is going through the picker well. That's what we care about. So I'm just loading up a little bit of silk, and then I am loading the Shetland on top of it, and this is about 10% tussa silk with Shetland, white Shetland. So I haven't done green. I don't do a lot of green, so I was like, let's use this green silk we've got that I got from an estate sale and utilize that. So let me show you it going into the machine here. And that was a little bit less silk than I had been adding. It was kind of the last of the batch, but you can see the teeth going in there. And now let's pop over and watch it coming in. And you can see just a little bit of green is gonna go a long way in changing the tint of this from white to just a pale green, which I think is gonna be gorgeous. It looks a little pale here, but remember when you spin it, it's gonna saturate out too. So, okay, I'm gonna let this finish running and open it up, and you can see what that finished, picked out fiber looks like. Okay, so we've got, that was only about a pound of wool, which is unfortunate. That is the problem with shearing only once a year with our Shetlands here, and the weather and everything. They just don't do that well. And these are my older Shetlands too. So they're not producing like they once used to produce, but I think this is still gonna be a lovely little blend of wool. So I'm just going to, I'm gonna give it a little mix, and you can see like just that little bit, and I just mixed it just because the top was a little bit less silk than the bottom. And this was kind of like a green with little hints of blue in it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in bins, and then we'll condition and go from there. And I did want to show you some bits that I don't want in there. Let me grab a little handful, and I'll show you the difference between how this looks. Let me show you some of the ugly stuff from the last fleece I did. So here is this batch, and see how nice and floofy that looks and opened up. Here's this batch. This is from the reject pile, and you can see how it just looks short and neppy and not good. Way different. This will go into a pillow. It will be the insert for a pillow. Anyway, so I am going to get this all conditioned out and ready for the picker, and I will continue to pick any little bits of VM along the way, but Shetland does a fabulous job of dropping VM when it's in my carding machine, so I don't get too worried about it. Okay, I think the next thing up is going to be some Shetland also, and alpaca, I think. Look at that. So pretty. All right, we are back at the picker, and this is what we're picking out. So this will be our Halsey signature blend. So in the back is some Romney wool. To the left in the front is alpaca, some natural fawn colored alpaca. And to the right is this bluey color that is showing up a little more blue on here than it is, but nonetheless is beautiful. Okay, so we're here at the picker. We'll do another angle for a little bit. And I have already run the first little batch of this, so we're just gonna be running through the second batch. And I dyed up this silk at home. And I really love this color. Like I said, it's not showing up quite, I mean, all blues are beautiful. I didn't mean to say it's not beautiful, but it is a little bit of a different blue than what was showing up on the camera. So anyway, it's a little bit of a, this is a bit of a crapshoot with these colors. I actually think no matter what, it's gonna be gorgeous, but I don't know why I decided to use the light fawn. Originally I was gonna use a gray, but I didn't want it to gray this out too much. Next time I'll experiment with a light gray and see how it goes. But this is where we are today. So, like I said, the wool is a Romney. It's a really, really light gray Romney, almost kind of silvery. And I am layering down the silk first. Everything's been weighed out. I kind of do it in a pound increments so that I know, so that I can weigh out everything. A pound of Romney and what will be mixed with it in its increments. And then, so I've got the silk down, now I'm laying out the alpaca. And then I put the Romney on top. And I do it pretty light, although this fiber picks pretty easily, which is a nice change from what I've been dealing with. This Romney picks pretty nicely. So I'll just go through, keep layering. And the reason I layer, for those of you that are new, is just so that kind of the more delicate fibers are on the bottom and they don't quite get pulled through the teeth as hard. I don't know, this is my theory. Sticking to it because it's how I've done it forever. Really, they just stick less to the rollers, I think is more what it is. They get caught up a little bit less, so that's why I do it. But I certainly could do it differently. Okay, I'll put you over top here so you can watch my hands for a minute, and then we'll go and see what it looks like coming out. So we've got just a little bit, pull you back a little bit of silk, and I have this silk. This was top that I dyed up. I break it up when I dye it just so I can get through. Machine's getting ahead of me, but I'll toss it over there. And the camera's in the way for me to do this more gracefully. But just so you can see on top what that kind of looks like. Everything gets opened up a little bit. The alpaca especially, because it got a little bit compacted in washing. Between the tumbling and the washing, this is all a finer alpaca, and it's a little more sensitive to getting compacted and a little felted in spots, so I'm trying to be mindful with it. Okay, let's go over and we'll watch this coming out. There's our floof, as we so nicely call it. Okay, and you can see it coming out through, just getting blown out. So I'm gonna finish this up and then we'll open up and see what this looks like. Okay, we have got this batch done. Well, there's a little bit more, but this is what we're gonna do for today anyway. And you can see it all nicely fluffed up. Again, I just love this blend. so nice to work with. And I'm just gonna take it out and I'll give it a little light conditioning and we will be ready to card then. And oh yeah, like I usually do, I just will pull it from random spots so it gets a little more mixed up along the way, and the carder will mix it more along the way. So I'll just get it into these bends, condition it, and we'll be on our way. And I really should know where this is, but at my blog on beingewethful.com, there is a at-home conditioning recipe in there. It's probably from 2023. If I have time, I'll look it up again and put a link to it in the show notes, because I know that's always something people are asking is what do I use to condition? And here at the mill, I use something that I buy, but at home, it's just like an olive oil. It's an olive oil water mix. So anyway, and that just helps cut down on static. And you know, it conditions the fibers a little bit. The idea is the fibers pick it up and suck it in like our hair does when we condition it. So here we go. Here is what this looks like up close and personal. I think it's gonna be really pretty. Okay, onward we shall go. Thought we would pop in and check in on the Shetlands and the big girls, speaking of, because they're in their other pasture up top by our house, and just kind of rotating them, letting the pastures get some breaks. And this one is so wet, but we've got a few dry days, so it's dry enough for them to move about in and enjoy some sunshine. Hello everyone, we are at the carder and I have got this Shetland. I'm just kind of picking at it as I go along still. This Shetland and silk that we carded up a little bit ago. And it's time to, we picked it a little bit ago, and now it is time to card it up, which is very exciting. And I am just laying out a bit to get the carder started up. And then we'll hit play and get it rolling and see how this beauty turns out. I think it's gonna be really lovely to spin. And I'm gonna turn this on so it starts the process. And it's gonna have a lovely light greenish blue tint, which, I mean, I personally don't think you can ever go wrong with. So we've got our first little batch on, that'll feed in. And I'm gonna start loading up our second batch here. And then we'll go to the other end, and I'm just splitting up some of this silk that didn't get opened up all the way through the picker. Just spreading it out. And so we'll give this a second, and then we'll go over and get it started out as roving on the other side of the carder. I'm excited. This is a fun day of carding I've got ahead because I've got a backstock of stuff. And one thing that I didn't even show you yet, it's gonna be in next week's episode. So, okay, let's run down to the other side and see where we're at. Woo! So you can see we've got some webbing coming off here, and I am going to stop the machine and catch a little bit of that, and we'll just pull up the rest of what is in here. And you can see it's gonna have a nice light greeny blue tint to it. And then of course, when you spin it, it's gonna saturate up a little bit more, because of course, when we spin, then we tighten all those fibers together, so more saturation can happen. And I am going to feed through, I don't think I can, I'm just feeding this wire through the roving deck so that we can get, whoop, and it's going in the wrong direction, so that I can get roving started. And you might, if you're new, you might say, why do you do so much roving? And I do it because I can, basically, right? Not everybody, a lot of people have carders at home and can make bats and things like that. But here at the mill, I have the ability to do roving, and I love spinning from a good bat, but roving is just so easy. So that's why I do it. And I make beautiful roving that is easy to spin that people love. So why mess with a good thing, right? So we have got the machine set up. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play. We should get a little bit of wool and silk coming out this end if all goes well. There it is. And it'll take a minute for it to really get to a thickness that we want. So I'll let it run for just a minute here till the roving gets a little thicker. I don't like my roving too thick because I just don't think it's easy to spin if it gets too thick. And I'm all about making this easy for everybody to spin. So we're getting kind of a more consistent roving now. I'm gonna stop the machine. We'll tear a little bit of this off and set my bin up. And then I'll show you some of this, which hopefully you'll be able to see that we're getting just a nice light green tint to it. The light is not ideal for showing this in here, but oof, it's gonna be pretty. So I'm gonna save a little bit of that. And I always try to remember what was the top and what was the bottom. So if I wanna spin a little sample of it, generally speaking, one end will spin easier than the other. And that goes with, I will say this till the end of time, that goes with all fibers pretty much. Generally speaking, one side of fiber is going to draft better. So if you're having a hard time drafting a fiber, try spinning it from the other end. And I thought we would just finish up. We'll do a little bit more over here. Loading this up, I'm gonna hit the machine on again and let it finish up. And I do have, like, of course I'm weighing out how much fiber is going on per feed. I always do that, even though I'm not needing it to be that consistent on the other end. I like it to be as consistent as possible for the hand spinner, right? Including myself, including myself. I take what I think makes spinning easier and I try to translate that into the products I make. So we are going. I'll try to get a little clip here. Here we go. We'll get a clip from inside. Now let's go see the end. All right, you all, I wanted to show you, oh, there's a little piece of EM that's gonna drive me crazy. Show you this. As it's coming off a little bit more, you get a better idea of that color. And that was with, what did I do? 20% silk? 10% silk? I think 10% silk. All right, just thought I'd show you as we get to the end of this how pretty it is. All right, we are on to the next fiber, and I'm gonna pull it from over here. This is stuff that's ready to be carded over here. So the next up is that Romney alpaca. Whoop, I'm dropping stuff in the background. Romney alpaca and silk that we picked out. And I'll just flip this so you can see what I'm doing here. So I have got some bins of it. And yes, I am wearing some crazy clothes today. I think I'm like the birds and the flowers right now. I'm like, what the heck? It's like 70 degrees for 3 days. And by the end of today, I think it's supposed to be showering. And Mitch was like, yeah, they're saying there's a chance of a tornado because of like the warm weather coming up against this storm. Anyway, that explains my crazy outfit. So I am weighing out, whoop, and we're gonna turn, what I want to get started here on this feed. And I'm gonna do a little bit less than that because I don't have the full feed, which when I say feed, I mean from blue line to blue line, which you cannot see the other end of the blue line. So I don't have a full feed. So I did a quick little clean on the carder between these things because it's not like a full, but just to get the last of what I can reasonably of the Shetland out and that green, so that the next color is as pure as I can get it to be, basically, right? So we've got that blue silk that I dyed up, we've got some fawn, and we've got some light kind of silvery gray Romney. This is like the very last Romney that I have other than what's carded up and on the website. So it is time to go see Maria and buy some Romney. And she should be done with lambing, so we'll be good there. I'm gonna go ahead and start the machine up. Get the fiber off of me and start up the next batch. You can kind of see it going in there while I weigh up my next little bit of fiber. And we'll do the exact same thing. We'll just let it start. We'll let it start feeding in, and then we'll catch it, start some roving going, and see what this looks like. And I don't know how much spinning you enjoy. At the end of this, if you want to see both, I'll spin a little sample of both. Since nobody can comment in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll spin a sample of both of these so you can see kind of how it turns out. And yeah, I'll try not to talk too much and to keep my spinning to a minimum so you're not here. I guess you can always turn it off, can't you? I've been watching more YouTube at night because I'm enjoying watching some other makers. Mostly talk about wool and sewing and spinning. Knitting, you know, I enjoy hearing a bit about knitting, but I'm trying not to get too inundated with like what other people are knitting because it just becomes overwhelming for me, sort of like to try to be mindful and then to have all this like new stuff coming at you, like, ooh, I could knit that, I could knit this, and it's like, whew, just gets to be a lot. Okay, let's go down the other end. I know we have plenty coming out now. So there's our web, and you can see, whoop, my cousin is, look at all that. So I'm gonna stop it, catch it, and then this will go back into the carder. That's what happens when I start talking. And we'll see some color coming out there. And generally speaking, it gets a little more, like the very beginning is a little bit lighter than the end. Or, you know, once I get settled in, I'm looking for my little cord here. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna feed this in, maybe, and run it through the roving deck, and then we'll attach our fiber. You will see at the end of this episode, I do put on a different outfit. I brought a change because it's so warm. I thought, ooh, I have a chance to wear a sweater I just finished, a little top. I don't know if I would call it a sweater, I guess, anymore, but it's a top. And I thought I could wear that while I'm doing a little spinning so you could see that finished up. I'm just putting the band on to the carder right now. Not very successfully, I will add. And I'm gonna load this up and we'll get this going and we'll see what it looks like. Here we go. Hopefully this will stay attached. Yahoo, it looks good. All right, here comes our first little bit. I'll let it run for a second. Grab a bin from behind us. And we'll get going. Whoop. So like I did in the last batch, that first little bit of roving, I'm gonna go ahead and throw, let you see this a little bit up close more. All right, let's go back around the other side and we'll load a little more up. All right, here's kind of a better, I don't know if that is better actually. You'll see when I spin it, but that's kind of the first stuff that's coming off. So I'm gonna start up another batch here just so I can, and then we'll check in one more time on that end, and then I think we'll head to, we'll just let you be there. You can see my hands a little bit close up. And then we'll head to the spinning wheel and finish this episode up. And I will say that in between, I checked the humidity because I'm noticing that it's trying to get caught up on the roving deck a bit. And this time it's not because of static. Woo, there was a weird sound outside. Thought it was my machine for a minute. This time it's not because of static, it's because it's so humid. It is about 70% humidity in here, which is interesting. Things can get too humid, for sure. So it's always a constant juggle here at the mill, but I'd rather it be 70. And of course I conditioned all this fiber, and that's okay. It has alpaca and silk, and these fibers are going to be, just checking the other end. These fibers are more prone to staticking anyway, so the conditioning's not gonna hurt it. All right, let's go down and see. I just kind of get it nice and even on here. Let's go see. I'm gonna take a little bit of this blue, throw it in the middle here. And of course the colors are going to, ooh, they're a little bit off angle, sorry you all. Actually, let's go take a peek inside again, shall we? Kind of fun to take a peek inside, a safe peek inside the carder here. So let's go ahead and walk over and we'll see how we're doing. You can kind of get a better idea once it gets rolling a bit. And like I said, I'll go ahead and spin a little bit, and then you can see how this works. This is one of my favorite blends to spin. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's head over to a wheel. All right, you guys, it's time to spin. And I am at the Lendrum because honestly, it has the best light. And I want you to be aware that I'm wearing, I did have a little costume change. And sorry, let me take some, I just need to take one shoe off for this wheel. I'm wearing my Luna de Plata by Claudia Quintanilla, and I modified it by doing these short sleeves. It's just 100%, it's 100% mohair silk. Can't remember the yarn right now, but it is my inaugural wear for probably 10 minutes while I do this, because otherwise I don't want to get it caught up on stuff here at the mill. So here we are. I have got the, whoop, that was not a pretty way to join that. Let's get joined. I've got the Shetland and silk, and it's gonna be nice and slick because of that silk, and it's gonna spin really nice, you all. I did not adjust my wheel. Let me adjust my wheel. I've got this on the fastest twist that will go on for this whirl size. Let me just move this down a little bit. Fastest twist for this whirl size. I am spinning it long draw for those of you that are listening, and I don't really have to do much. That's how I like my fiber for you all. So my front hand is just kind of acting as a little extra resistance, and I'm just pulling back, and it's doing everything that I would like it to do all by itself. And I can see it on the wheel, and it actually is next to a brown that's probably going to disappear pretty quick, but holy cow, does it look nice next to a little brown. Let me move this over. I think I'll spin this and spin the other fiber and then let you see up close. How's that? I'll spin the other fiber short forward just to mix it up. So because this is Shetland with a little silk and it's spinning up, it's going to spin, it's going to want to spin into a lighter weight yarn because of that silk. You can of course spin it however you want, but because it is spinning into a lighter weight yarn, I've got it on my fast whirl so that twist will go in as fast as this wheel will allow, because I don't want to adjust my speed size of my feet. That's just beyond something I'd like to do. So, and I'm making sure that it just gets enough twist as it goes along. It's really spinning up lovely. So let me stop and we'll move our spot here on the wheel. And I think I'll start with you guys out there, and then maybe I'll move it forward so you can see my hands a little bit better, but it will definitely show the difference between short and long forward. Short and You get what I'm saying. So here we are doing our short forward. This is the Romney alpaca silk. So it's going to spin similarly. This has alpaca and silk, so it's going to make it also be a very slick spin compared to just spinning 100% wool, depending on the wool, of course. But I'm just gonna sit here and get some of this on the wheel so we can see what color this kind of turns out to be. As many of you know, this is not my go-to wheel. So, yes, I see it. I see it on there. So I thought I would just spin a little bit, and then let me actually stop and bring you up closer so you can see my hands while I'm doing this. For new spinners, I know it's always fun to kind of see how people spin. When I was new, I loved going to events. So as I was saying, when I was new to spinning, I really liked going to events. Let me move you back, oops, a little bit more. Because it was a chance to see other people, how other people spin. And everybody spins different, you all. Like, because you're spinning how somebody else, if it looks different from somebody else, that's not a bad thing. It's just whatever works for you is what's gonna work for you. So I am just holding my backhand nice and light. My front fingers are nice and smooth. They're tight enough that twist can't get behind those front fingers, but not so tight that it's gripping. Because if you're gripping in either hand, it's not going to make spinning easier, I'll tell you that. So, you know something else you could do with this, I'm gonna move my notch one more time, and then I don't know why, but this just as I was, now I'm not gonna say I'm skilled at this, but now I have the other fiber. Let me pull you back a little bit more. I have the Shetland in my hand too. And I think what I'll do, I'm gonna hold them both together. So I have both of those fibers in my hand. And what I'm gonna do now is spin them together. So you can see I have both the rovings. Woo! I gotta keep my wheel going. And I'm just holding them kind of like side by side in my hand and spinning them together. Whoops, sorry you all, I got a little kink in there. And now I'm just spinning both of those fibers together because I'm wild. And if you get off track, just pick the other one up, put it back up there until it's in there, and then you can be spinning them together, which that's just wild, right? Then I've got the blue and the green kind of working together with the other wool. And these are all pretty similar staple lengths, so it's working. I lost a little bit of the blue there. There we go. Now I've got it back. Just kind of did a little twist to get it all in there. Now this is spinning heavier, mainly just because I'm not paying attention and I'm not spinning my wheel very fast because of my awkward angle with the camera. But okay, let's look and see what these look like, shall we? All right, here we are. So we have got, this is the Shetland and silk. This is the Romney alpaca and silk. This is both of them spun together. How fun is that? Oh my gosh, so fun. Okay, let me flip and we will say our goodbyes. All right, you all, it's kind of humid in here, holy cow. Okay, so it's time for what we're now gonna call the maker's soapbox. And for those of you that have been watching for a bit, this is kind of something new that I have started doing within the past month or two out of a feeling that people need to continue speaking out about what's happening in our country here in the US and to encourage people to stay connected. And coming into this week, coming into today is like just a week of, I'd say, the highest level of incompetency that we're seeing from our White House staff right now. The Signal controversy is happening where classified information was shared on a non-safe app. And of course, what's happening is that there's a bunch of lies and cover-up. And this is not surprising. Rather than just admitting we did something wrong, we're going to blame, I don't know, just whoever we possibly can, right? So massive security breaches and waffling, and was shown like how just behind the scenes, right? And doubts about each, it's just unreal. We could go on and on all day long about all the things that are going wrong. But let's turn for just a moment, and this will be quick because you know how I like to roll with this. Let's turn to the Democrats. And I was really disappointed. I am a lifelong Democrat. I started voting at 18. I registered blue. I have registered blue ever since. I was really disappointed, and I'm sure some of you were as well, with the passing of the budget and with the lack of people willing, of politicians on the left willing to stand up and at least get something a little bit better in that budget. It was just like, it was a very disappointing day. And what I feel as a Democrat is that there is no cohesion in our party. And the White House right now is like, so it's just a mess, right? Like there's so much chaos going on, and they're trying to like put out fires and do all these things. And meanwhile, this is a great chance for the left to sort of come together and unite and come up with a path and come up with leadership and move forward and fight for all the people. Here comes our train. And fight for all of the citizens that are standing up and being angry and upset. And instead, the Democrats just, what it looks like is there's just, nobody's coming together, right? There's nobody standing up and saying, let's fight this. There's no cohesive plan. There's no, this is how we're gonna fix it. There's no, this is how we're moving forward. It's just also putting out fires. And it's so incredibly frustrating, and it's so sad to see, because how do we move forward from here? It's hard. So, I mean, why are people going to see Bernie and AOC? They're going because they're the few people, the few politicians on both sides that are speaking out, that are trying to come up with a plan with some solidarity. And people on both sides are going to see them for this reason, because there's politicians, a handful, that are actually listening. So remember that there are a handful that are still listening, and stay engaged and stay connected and keep voicing your opinion. And now maybe is the time where we should be reaching out to the politicians on the blue side and saying, where is our unity? How are we moving forward? Who's going to lead this? Because it's just kind of in the hands of citizens to be speaking out right now. But we need politicians to listen, and then we need them to move forward. So all in all, here's what I have to say. Keep your head up, stay connected, and keep writing the emails. Even if they're not reading every single email, being inundated with emails sends a statement. And going to town hall meetings sends a statement. And going to marches sends a statement. Keep your mental health in check, because that is a privilege that we still have here in this country in between this fight. But stay aware, because the leadership is going to come, and the coming together is going to come, and we just all need to be ready for that. So there's my maker's soapbox for the week. Maybe that was a few minutes longer than usual, but it was a rough couple weeks. So anyway, everybody, until next time. I turned 50 in the meantime, so stay with me. There is a meal day, noon to 3 this Saturday on my birthday. So if you're in the area, come by, have some cake, sit at the maker's table, and kick my 50th birthday year off with me with a big smile. And until next time, be kind to everybody around you, because we are all in this together, and we've got to work together to move forward. Stay healthy and make so many pretty things. I am having the best time right now with these two side by side. It's a joy. So go to your craft room, find some joy, and I will see you all next week. Thank you so much for watching, for staying to the end, and for listening. I'd love to hear your comments. Please share, like, get on my Patreon community if you want any of these fibers. They get a shop update this Sunday. So thank you so much. Take care, everybody. That's pretty.